The, the agenda for today's session will be that we'll be navigating through pattern search. So because if we are doing our research and if we want to convert into a patent, so we need to understand what is the present status of our research work. So we need to identify the gap as we do in the research. In a similar way, we need to identify whether there are already patents available related to the work we are doing or not. So we need to go for a pattern search, and I'll navigate through a basic pattern search, and then we'll look into the contents that has to be present in a patent draft. So how to draft a patent and what should be the structure, the basic level structure, how it should be. And then we'll go for the form filing. So what are the different forms we need to file while filing the patent application. And then I'll navigate through the patent prosecution. So which means that so once after filing, what are all the steps that will be followed until the status of getting grant. So there are 3 or 4 stages in between. So again, it depends on the nature of our content, and the stages may be 3 or 4. So I'll just navigate through you all through that. So what will be the different stages and how we want to respond. So this prosecution will also be covered in this agenda. So of course, we all know that a patent is exclusively meant for an invention or an innovation. So we all work in research work. So we all come up with some research idea, and we develop some prototype or develop some product. So any kind of invention or innovation can be protected under a patent in India. And for getting a grant of patent, of course, we know that there are 3 criteria that has to be satisfied. One is novelty, inventive step, and industrial applicability. So this is the basic idea about getting a grant of patent. So these 3 criteria will be assessed by the patent office for our patent application. So in this session, I'll start with how to go for a patent search. So that is the predominant thing. And if we are working or if we are spending much time on patent search and some quality time on patent search, so what we can do is that obviously we can get a better result. So this patent search not only helps us to identify the boundary of our invention, but also it helps in drafting the patent application. I'll just tell that second part towards the end. So when we are moving to the patent drafting part. So now I'll navigate you all through Google patent search. So how to basically to search what is the status of our patent application or our research. So of course, in a normal Google tab, you are going to type as Google patent search. Of course, there are different types of search sites are there. Those are free databases there, and also there are paid databases are there. So here we'll be focusing on this free database, and that too exclusively I am focusing on Google patent search. The reason is that most of the patent applications as well as the granted patents are available in this search site. So apart from that, we have an exclusive sites with respect to different patent offices. For example, in India, we have the site called INPAS, Indian Patent Advanced Search System. And for US PTO, we have another exclusive site. So in a similar way, we have a lot of patent search sites with respect to the patent offices, so which are free database. Whereas the availability of the patent applications with respect to the corresponding patent office will be constrained within the applications that are filed in the respective offices. So if we want to go for a free and if we want to get a coverage of most of the applications, my recommendation would be that we shall go with this Google patent search. So at present, what we'll do is that we'll navigate through this. So you just type the text Google patent search, and you'll be getting this Google patents. So you just click on it, and here you'll be able to see the tab or this icon Google, and below that you'll be able to see this patents. So it is as like a normal patent, a normal Google search task. So let us consider an example. See, for example, let us take an example of a mosquito bat. So I'm working on an invention which is in the field of repelling the mosquito. So I'm working on a mosquito bat. So let us find that how we'll be able to get the previous patent applications or the previous patent granted with respect to my area of research. So in a similar way, what we have to do is that in your respective research, you just try to identify the most suitable technical keywords. So these technical keywords will help us to identify the most relevant and the most close patterns that are already available. So once again, I'm stressing here, we need to identify the most technical keyword, the relevant technical keyword. So let us consider an example of a mosquito bat. So this is as simple as we are working in a normal Google. So in a Google, if I want to know some content, what I'll be doing is that I'll be just simply typing the keywords, right? In a similar way, here also we are going to type the keyword. So now I'm going to type mosquito bat. In a similar way, what you can do is that you can collect some most relevant technical keywords, and after getting or consolidating some keywords, you can also go for a search like this. So I'm just typing it as mosquito bat. So I'm giving us a search. So here you can see about 33,403 results are there, which are relevant to the keyword called mosquito bat. See, it is not practically possible for an individual or for a team or for an organization to go through all these 33,403 results. It is not practically possible, right, to read all the documents. So what we have to do is that we need to confine the results that are most close to us, right? So again, what we would usually miss during this patent search is that there will be multiple or there may be multiple technical keywords which are relevant to our invention. For example, let us assume that this is the normal word which we used in a market way. The mosquito bat. So if I'm going to purchase a mosquito bat, so this is what the term we'll be using. So whereas this mosquito bat can also be called as mosquito racket, right? So if I'm rephrasing this title, now you can see there are 6,770 results, which means that if I'm getting confined with only one keyword, there may be a chance of missing some other relevant documents. So we need to find some relevant technical keywords or some collective technical keywords. So here, if I'm going to type only mosquito bat, I'll be getting those 33,000 odd something results. Whereas I would have missed this 6,770. Whereas if I'm going to type this mosquito racket, I would have missed those 33,000 some results, right? So we need to collect the most technical keywords, right? So now the challenge here is that again we cannot get all the, we cannot collect all the details and we cannot read all the documents. So that is always a challenge, right? So now we want to get all the possible results and we need to confine the results, right? So what we are going to do is that now we are going to use the basic Boolean operators which we have learned in our schools, right? So what I'm going to do is that here you can see mosquito racket. The results shown here are 6,770. So here you will be able to notice that the results that are shown here, it may include either mosquito or racket or sometimes both the words, right? So the result here, it will be showing either mosquito alone or either racket alone or both the keywords. So we need to get the results, right? So once again, I'm going back to this keyword called mosquito bat. So I'm getting 33,403. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use the Boolean operators. So here I'm just typing it in the code, mosquito, and I am typing and bat, right? So now I'm going to give the search. So now the result have got confined to 31,973 because I have used a Boolean operator. So this result may give us the result of both mosquito as well as bat, It may be in any part of the patent application. It need not to be in the title alone. It can be in the claim, or it can be in the description part. It can be even in the abstract part, wherever it may be, right? Whereas now, I want, if we want the result of both mosquito bat, it also be to be reflected, as well as mosquito racket, right? So in a similar way, what I'm going to type here is that I'm going to open a bracket. I'm going to give the term or, and once again I'm going to write as bracket. Right? So now the results may get increased or it may get decreased. So probably there are chances for the results getting increased, because now the results will be showing us either mosquito bat, or it may show the result of mosquito racket, right? So what is the purpose of using these Boolean operators is that we should not miss the other type of relevant keywords, because for example, if I'm working on this pen can be called as a pen, or it can be called as a writing instrument, or it can be called as a writing tool. See, there are different names, right? So in that aspect, we need to identify the most technical keywords. So that is what I'm telling. So if we want to go for patent search, we need to spend some abundant time. Before spending some abundant time, we need to collect all the possible technical keywords, so that we'll be getting a confined results to it. Now, still, the result of getting 34,000, I mean the reading 34,177 results or 35,000 results is not practically possible, right, to read up. So we need to confine the results furthermore with respect to the application where we are going to use, right? With respect to the application where we are going to use. So in this case, we can use a website called 𝗣𝗿𝗰𝗁𝗰𝗵 classification, right? So of course you all will be knowing WIPO is World Intellectual Property Organization. So this is administrating the overall IPR ecosystem across the world. So they are formulating the guidelines and they are formulating whatever has to be done. So in that way they are working as a wing of UN, right? So what this WIPO had did is that they have defined all the inventions, whatever it may be, from a small invention to a space science, whatever it may be, all the possible inventions are grouped into 8 major classification of inventions. So that classification is called as International Patent Classification. So here you will be able to see WIPO-IPC classification if I am typing. So I'll be clicking on this. You'll be taken to a website here. So here what we have to do is that we need to click on this, access the IPC publication, International Patent Classification publication. So here, as I told earlier, what they have did is that across the world, whatever the invention it may be, based on the field of application, all those inventions are clustered into 8 major classification of inventions. So these are all those 8 major classifications, and it is given a code. So that is why it is called as IPC code, International Patent Classification Code. So the code given here is A, B until C, till H. So based on the field or the application area. Now we have to identify under which IPC classification code our invention will be falling. So if we are able to identify under which IPC classification code our invention is falling, then we can confine the results. So whatever the results we are getting, it is in terms of 1000, whereas we have to reduce the number of the results, right? And we need to get the close possible results. So in that aspect we need to work on here. So we need to identify which classification code will help us or will be suitable for our invention. So now here I'll explore this 8 different types of classification. We just look into this first one. So the first classification is human necessities. If we explore further, this A is further classified into further subclassification codes, A01, 21, 22. It keeps on going, right? And still, if I'm going to explore further this A01, it also gives further subclassifications, A01, B, 1C, 1D, 1F. It is keep on going. Similarly, until you are getting this minus symbol, this classification will be keep on going. Now, here the difficulty is we cannot explore in this way to identify which classification code will be most suitable to our invention. So it is not practically possible, or it is a challenge, right? So what we are going to do is that we are going to click on this tab search, right? So I am going to type this search, click on this search. Now here I am going to type the keyword mosquito bat, right? Now I'm going to give search. Now here the results are given. So now the IPC classification code, which is most relevant to the keyword which I have typed here, mosquito bat, is 𝗂63B, right? Now we'll go back here to the scheme, or straight away you can click on here. So whichever is convenient for you. So now let us see whether 𝗂63B is really relevant to my invention or not. So previously I was telling we need to identify the most technical keyword. Now I'll show what is the importance of identifying the technical keyword. Now as per the keyword which I have typed here, the mosquito bat, the keyword that I have got here, the classification code which I have got here is 𝗂63B60/60. So let us consider 𝗂63. Now I'm clicking on this. So here it is navigating us through 𝗂63. Now I'll straight away go to this 𝗂63. Now here, yes, so here you can see 𝗂63 is having a classification, or it is showing the application of sports, games and amusements, and 𝗂63B is exclusively showing apparatus for physical training, gymnastics, swimming, climbing or fencing or ball games and training equipments. Now hopefully you would have understood the reason why this 𝗂63B is shown in this classification code is that because of the word that I have used, bat, right? So it had considered bat as a sports equipment and it had shown the result as 𝗂63B. Now this is what I have told you. So if we want to go for a patent search, what we have to do is that we need to identify the most relevant technical keyword. So now what we'll do is that once again we'll go back to the search. Now I'm going to type here as the actual technical keyword. So it is usually called as a swatter, mosquito swatter, right? Now I'm typing here mosquito swatter, and before that once again I'll show here also the actual technical keyword is mosquito swatter. In the Google patent search I'm typing as mosquito swatter. Now you can see how many results it is showing. It shows more than 1 lakh results. So that is the reason I am repeatedly telling we need to identify the group of keywords that are most technical keywords, the relevant technical keywords. So if I have typed as mosquito instead of mosquito swatter, if I have typed as mosquito bat or mosquito racket, so what it would have happened is that I would not have got this 1 lakh result, right? I would have missed it completely, right? So that is why we need to have the collection of these keywords. So now here I'm going to type as mosquito and swatter. Of course, the results may get confined or still it may be more than 1 lakh. So here now the results have got confined to 5,577 results. So this is how we need to reduce the number of results. So by using the Boolean operator, or by using, and in addition to that Boolean operator, what we have to do is that we need to find the most relevant technical keyword so that we'll be able to find this IPC classification code. So now here I have typed mosquito swatter. Now I'm giving the search again. Now the result showing here is 𝗂01M, right? So once again I'll go back to the scheme. So at the top, yes, so it is 𝗂01M, right? Yes, it is 𝗂01M. So I'm exploring this A. Oh, I'm sorry. So here it is 𝗂01M. Now you can see this 𝗂01 is considering the field of agriculture, forestry, animal husbandry, hunting, trapping, right? Now we exclusively go for this A01. A01 explains about catching, trapping or scaring of animals, and A01M 1/00 it is meant for the stationary, meant for catching or killing insects. So now hopefully you would have got some clarity, right? So this is what I'm telling. So before going for a pattern search, what we have to do is that we need to identify the most relevant technical keywords. So the cluster of or a group of keywords. So this group of keywords will help us to identify the actual classification code. So now what I'll do is that once again I'm going back to this this Google pattern search. Now here I'm typing A01M. So I'm giving a search. So now the results are getting confined, right? So again, sorry, A01. So sorry, and here I'm going to type as and. Yes, now the results are further getting confined, right? So it is from the results of 5,000 or not something. Now we have got the result around 1,262. So in a similar way, we need to identify the most relevant technical keywords, and with the help of that, we need to go for what we have to do is that we need to go for this IPC classification code. And based on the classification code, if we go and search for this classification code means, then we'll be getting the confined results. Now, here we have an option called advanced search options. So in this advanced search options, we have multiple options. So where we have the flexibility of choosing the nature of the patent office, or the status of the application, the language of the patent application, and the name of the inventor or assignee or the applicant. All these types of classifications we can take here. For example, if you are going to do your research and you are going to file a patent and you are going to having a plan of commercialization, let us assume that you are having a plan to commercialize your invention to some other country. Let us assume that you are going to do it in USA. So that you need to go for an FTO search. So FTO research in the sense, what means? So we need to freedom to operate. So FTO means freedom to operate. So whether your invention is being already patented in US or not. So we need to identify. In a similar way, here we have various list of patent offices. So you can click on this. For example, we have a result of around 1,262. So now I'm going to click here US. So here you can see the result have got confined to 275. So if your aim is to commercialize your invention or your research in a particular country or a particular geographical area, so you need to identify or you need to go for a freedom to operate search. In that freedom to operate search, you can identify the suitable patent office and you can search for it. For example, I have shown here US. Let us assume that you are going to do it in China. So I'm clicking on here CN. Now the results are getting confined as 305. Among those 100 and 200 something applications, now the applications that have been filed in China is 305 odd. So in this similar way, we can go for a restriction of a freedom to operate search. So we can restrict with respect to the geographical location. If I want to search in Japan, you can see just 13 results. So with the keyword and for the IPC classification code which I have chosen, the number of patent applications that has been filed in China, in Japan is 13. Now let us search for India. The keyword for the short form for India is IN. So probably I don't think that there won't be results, right? Here you can see there are no results, which means that for this keyword and for this IPC classification code, there are no patent applications that are filed in India. So as per the search of this keywords, right? In the similar way, you can confine your results. So now we'll once again go back here and I'll pick this US. So here you can see 275 applications are there. So once again, if at all your mosquito bat is is in the nature of a telescopic model, then you can add that keyword also. So in a similar way, you can confine your result. So here I'm going to type a telescopic, probably your the handle of your mosquito bat or a mosquito swatter is in a model of a telescopic mode, means then you can go for a search, the confined search. So now we can see it is the results are getting 110. So that is what I am telling. So if we are identifying the most suitable technical keyword which are relevant to our invention, we can confine the results. So early when I was searching as a mosquito swatter, the results that were showing is more than 1 lakh. And when we moved on to when we use this Boolean operator mosquito and the swatter, the results got confined up to, if I'm right, 45,000 something or something. Then after identifying the most relevant the classification code, we got the result around 1200. Now my invention is exclusively for the telescopic model of mosquito swatter, so that the swatter won't occupy much space. It will be most accommodable. So in that way, I have identified the most relevant, furthermore relevant keyword, telescopic. Now I have confined the results to 110. So this is how we need to narrow down the number of results. So in this way, you can go for a patent search with the help of this patent IPC classification code. And here, what you can do is that you can just click on the most relevant patent applications by reading on this abstract, right? So if we click on this, here you can see the abstract, and if you are able to read this, you'll be getting an idea, as like we do it for an research article. So here you can see the complete details, the description, the number of claims that is claimed for this patent application. So if we read this claim, we'll be getting a clarity how our invention is differing from the existing inventions. So as like we do in our research camp in the literature survey. So we used to keep on read all the literature articles, and we used to identify the gap. And with the help of the gap, we'll be identifying the research objective, we'll be working on it. In a similar way, here, if we have already done with our product or our prototype, we need to identify the gap, because we need to define our boundary of our invention. For example, a patent draft is almost similar to a legal document. For example, we used to have the legal document for our home or land, right? So what they would have simply typed it like, see in those legal documents, in the இடமானது வடக்கே 40 அடி தெற்கே 80 அடி. So in this way, they would have written in a simple way, right? Whereas if we would have read your document, they would have mentioned about the clear boundary. So whose land or whose location is towards north of your land, towards west, towards east, and towards the south. So the reason is that they need to clearly define your boundary, because that 40 cross 40 land can be in any location in that survey number, but you have to clearly define where it is. The boundary has to be clearly defined, right? For that, they'll be defining towards the north, south, east, and west, what other things are located to your land. In that way, we need to clearly define the boundary for our invention. So in that case, we have to read already available documents, and if we are able to read this claim, we'll be getting a clear idea what this invention is meant for and how our invention is differing from that, so that the boundary can be clearly defined. So this is the way we need to go for a patent search. So now we move on to the second part, the patent drafting and patent filing. So how we can go is that, so you can simply type either here in the Google, you can type as IP India. So here you'll be able to navigate through this IP India website. By default, if I'm right, it will be changing to the language of Hindi. And towards in this right top corner, you will be able to see this language symbol, and here you can click on to English. so that if there is any change of language, you can go for it. So here, this is the IP of this website. It is having the consolidated different forms of IPR. So now we are going to exclusively go for this patent. So here we can click on this tab. I mean, just keep the mouse on this tab, and here you'll be able to see before you apply. So we can read what is the basic of patent, so who can apply for the patent. All this basic information is being given here, and here you have the tab called public search. So if we click on this public search, as I told earlier, there are a few other search sites, right, with respect to the IP offices. In India, we have this 𝗵𝗂𝗏, and this patent scope is a search site of 𝗍𝙧𝗏. So 𝗍𝙧𝗏 have their own patent search sites where the PCT applications will be made available in this patent scope. So now we are moving to this 𝗵𝗂𝗏, that is Indian Patent Advanced Search System. So if we click on this, it will be showing a pop-up notification that it will be taking you to an external website. I'm just clicking on it. So here you will be able to go for this 𝗵𝗂𝗏 site. So either you can go this way, or you can simply type 𝗵𝗂𝗏. So straight away you can go for this search site. So both the search sites are same. So again, here also, if you are looking for any relevant Indian patent application, you can just type the keyword here. So what you have to do is that you have two options, either the published application or the granted application. You can choose any one, and here you can choose the category. So for example, if you want to try it with the title, for example, let me go with the applicant name. So if I'm going to type as the applicant name is Aramco, and here it is showing the 𝗣𝗁𝗰𝗵𝗹. So I'm clicking on this published. I'm going for the search. I'm sorry. Once again, I'll do it. Application name and 1MF4JT. I'm sorry, it is showing some error. So meanwhile, let us go to the other tab. Meanwhile, if it is getting rectified, I'll once again towards the end, I'll show you that. So how to search it. So here I have given the application status. So here, if you have applied for any patent documents and you would have got the application number, with that application number, you will be able to search the status. So now I'll show you a patent application that we have filed and which have got granted. So this is the application number. It was filed in the year 2019, and if I'm right, we got the grant in the year 2023 or 24. So I'm clicking on this. So the status, it will be showing the status of the applications. So what is the present status? In a similar way, if we have the application number of any patent application we have already filed, we can search with the help of this link, and meanwhile, yes, this is open. Just give me a couple of seconds. Yes. So here the application details will be shown. So what is the application number? What is the type of application, and the date of filing, and who are all the applicant, the title of the invention, and the field of invention, which is actually decided by the patent office, and the communication email ID, and whatever the communication that was happened. So as I told, it was granted in the year 2023. It took almost 4 years. So here you can see the status, the grant patent application, the granted application, the patent number have been changed. So now every document that is being communicated between the applicant and the patent office is completely transparent. So how we can see this document is that after moving on to this tab, if you at the bottom, you'll be able to see this view documents. So if you click on this, you'll be able to see all the communication that happened between the applicant and the patent office. So both the documents can be seen here. So meanwhile, it is opening slowly. What I'll do is that I'll quickly go through you all through the forms. What are all the different forms that has to be filed? So I have a ready-made filled form here. So if at all you are going to file your patent application, the most mandate form that we have to fill is form number 1. So this is the mandate form. Without this mandate form, we cannot file the patent application. So the first form is form number 1, which gives the detail about the invention. So this is form number 1. So here what we have to do is that we need to type the applicant name. So here you can see this is Ramco Institute of Technology. So here we have the practice of filing the patent application in the name of the institution. So if at all you are going to file it on your own, then you have to type your name here. So you have to type your name and the nationality Indian, and you have to give the address. And in the second page, so it will be asking what is the nature or the category of the applicant. So the category of the applicant here is educational institution. If you are going to file on your own, then you have to tick this option, natural person. And meanwhile, the fourth question that has been asked here is whether the inventors are same as the applicant. So whether the inventors are same as the applicant. So here in our case, the applicant is the institution and the inventors are the individuals. So in that case, here we have ticked the option called no, and at the bottom you have to furnish who are all the inventors with respect to this patent application and their corresponding address of applicant. Okay, so this is form number 1, and the third page of the form number 1 is that you need to give the title of your invention. So here the title we have given is the device to prevent banana tree from toppling. And while going for this drafting content, I'll tell you what are all the things we have to consider while drafting a patent application. So here, this is the most important part. You have to clearly give the address for service as well as the email ID and the phone number. So whatever the communication with respect to this corresponding application, it will be given only to the email ID which you have mentioned in this, in this column, in this email ID. So it won't be given or it won't be communicated to any other email ID or through phone. So now every communication is made only through email. So here you have to be more cautious while giving this email ID and give an active email ID. And if you are willing to process or prosecute the application, then you have to think about, then you have to give your email ID here. So it should be a live email ID. And the next, all these tabs are not required. So because if you are going for ordinary application, that is an Indian patent application, up to this is enough. And the serial number 9, 10, 11, it is not required. And here in this 12th serial number, you have to get the sign from all the inventors. So here we have 7 inventors. All the 7 inventors' name have been typed here, and we have to sign here. And the second column is not required because we are going to apply the patent application in India. And if at all you are going for convention application, then this option has to be filled. And towards the end, it will be asking the details about the attachments. So whether you are going for a provisional application or a complete specification. So that you have to mention here. So here in this application, we have gone for a complete specification, and the total number of pages in the specification is 5, and the number of claims, 9 claims we have claimed, and the number of claims, the claim document is just single page. So I have typed here as 1, and the abstract is 1, and the number of drawings we have included for this application is 7 in 7 pages. So this detail we have to type here. And the fee for filing the patent application, including form number 1, 9 and 18. So I'll just tell you what are all those forms. So form 1, 9 and 18 is 8,900 if you are going to file as an individual, or if you are going to file through an educational institutions. So that is the form, the fee. And if at all you are going to file it through online, then this fees will be 8,100. So this is the actual government fee. I'll tell you your split up also. For form number 1, it is a mandate form. The cost of filing is 1,750 rupees if you are going to file it in a physical mode. That is by means of hard copy. Or if you are going to file it through online, the fees is 1,600. and for form number 9, which is meant for early publication. So because in patent process, what will be the process followed is that after you are filing your application, after you have filed your application, it will be taking around 18 months for your application to get published. So that is why, of course, most of the academicians will be knowing we go for early publication. So if we file form number 9 with relevant fee, our application will be getting published within a maximum period of 1 month. So the form 9 fee is 2,750 for physical filing, that is through hard copy, or if you are going to file it through online, the fees will be 2,500 rupees. And the last form is form number 18, which is request for examination. Until you are filing your form number 18, your application will not be entering into the examination space. So if you want your application to be examined, you need or you must file the form number 18. Of course, the patent office is giving a time of 48 months from the date of filing. But my advice out of my experience is that I would recommend you all to file form number 18 during the patent filing itself, the initial stage of filing itself. And the fee for patent filing, the form number 18 is 4,400 rupees. And if you are going to file it through online, the fees is 4,000 rupees. So this is the overall structure of patent filing for a single application. Apart from that, if you are approaching any agencies or any attorneys or agents, they'll be charging their own professional fee. So the actual government fee for filing a patent application is 8,900 if you are an individual or you are going to file through an educational institution. So this is the fee, right? Now this is form number 2, and as I told earlier, this will be asking either you are going to file it as a provisional or as a complete specification. So here the form we have filed here is a complete specification. So I have striked out for provisional, right? So the basic difference between provisional and complete, of course, you'll be knowing if I'm right. The complete specification is that you are disclosing all the information about your invention. So that application is called as complete specification. Provisional is that it is an option given by the patent office to an inventor. If at all you need some more time to get the result about your invention, whereas you need to preserve your date of application, then you can go for provisional filing. I'll put it in or make it in a simple sense. Let us assume that you are getting a land for purchase near your current location and you are willing to buy it. Let us assume that the cost of the land is around 20 lakhs or 30 lakhs. Whereas at present you are able to collect just 5 lakh rupees, or you are able to pay just 5 lakh rupees. Means what we used to do is that we pay that 5 lakh as an advance and temporarily book that land. And once after we are paying the remaining 25 lakhs, the complete legal transformation will be happening, right? In a similar way, you are coming up with an invention and you want to protect it under patent. So here in patent, the first come first serve is the process that is being followed, or first come first serve. This is the technique they are following, right? So you need to reserve the date. So if we want to reserve the date, that is, let us assume that 31/7/2026, and for my invention I need some 6 more months of time, then I can go for provisional specification. At that time, I can choose this provisional and strike out this complete. And the patent office is giving you a time of 12 months from the date of provisional filing to change it as a complete specification. So within that 12 months, you need to work on your research and you need to get the result, and you need to identify what is the most unique thing in your invention, and you need to go for the complete specification filing. So here it will be asking the details of the applicant, and this is what it is asking in the form number 2. Now we'll move on to the form number 3, which is a statement of undertaking, which is meant for a declaration. If you are going to file money in India, and if you are not having an interest to file outside India, then you need to file this form number 3. So it is a declaration or an undertaking you are giving to the patent office that you have not filed this application apart from India. So this is what the form number 3. Here the applicant have to sign here. So here you can see who is the applicant. Once again, I'm stressing here the applicant, not the inventors. If the inventors and applicants are same, then all the applicants have to sign here, right? So this is form number 3, and the next form is form number 5, which is meant for the difference of applicant and inventors. If applicant and inventors are different, then this has to be filed. So this has to be filed. So here we have this practice of including our institute as an applicant. So the institution is giving a declaration that the following are the inventors, and it has to be signed by the inventors, and towards the end it has to be signed by the applicant also. So this form is required only when the applicant and the inventors are different. And this is form number 9, as I told earlier, which is meant for early publication. So here, if you are filing this patent application, this form along with your patent application, your application will be getting published within a maximum span of 1 month. And this is not a mandate form, it is an optional form. That is up to you. You can either file this form number 9 or not, because as I told earlier, the usual patent process is 18 months of time it will be taking for publishing your application without any fee. So because already your invention, if you are doing a business, 1.5 years of time is too much, because already to get a result of a grant or rejected, it will be taking around 4 years or for 4 years or 5 years, and adding 1.5 years to that, still it leads to a lot of complications. So that's why most of the applicants are preferring this form number 9. So here you have to get the sign from the applicant. And the last form is form number 18, so which is meant for request for examination. So here once again it has to be filed by the applicant. So it has to be signed by the applicant. So here you have to file the, pay the suitable fee, and you need to file this form number 18. And as of course I have told earlier, there are 48 months of time from the date of filing. But my recommendation would be that you just file this form number 18 along with your initial application, so that your application will be quickly processed, right? So these are all the forms which we have to file during this patent application, the patent filing process. Now once again we'll go back to this this website. So here, as I told, you can see all the relevant informations are made transparent here, irrespective of the invention. Even if you give your application number, I will be able to search what are the communication that has been made between you and the patent office. Now here you can see, as I mentioned earlier, form number 1, 2, 9, 18, all these forms have been filed here. Now what I'll do is that I'll just open this specification, that is how to draft this patent application. There are 4 parts in the patent application. One is description, the other one is abstract, the third one is claim, and the fourth one is the drawing. Now first I'll show you the complete specification, that is the description part, and meanwhile it is loading, I'll show you the latest version of our draft. So what are all the things that has to be present in the draft? So the first part that has to be present in your draft is that title. So the title, what is the constraint they have given is that it should not exceed 15 words. It should not exceed 15 words. And as like in our research publication, the title will be clearly giving a picture what our invention, what our research article is. In a similar way, your invention must also be clearly defined in your title. So here, assume that you are the examiner. I have filed this patent application. You are opening the title and you are reading it. So you are reading it as device to prevent a banana tree from toppling. So with this title, you will be able to get a clarity. So what is the purpose of this invention is? So it is a device which is going to prevent the banana tree from toppling. So that is the basic idea. And the second part of your invention must be the field of invention, which means that where your invention will be applied. So this field of invention will help the patent, the controller of the patents to identify which field your invention belongs to. And in the previous tab I have shown you, right, the field of invention, it was mentioned as some area, right? So to get confined with that or to get confirmed with that area, the field of invention, you have to give a narrate in one paragraph, not more than 8 to or 7 or 8 lines. So that will be giving the idea to the controller of examination which field it will be following. with the field of invention only, the controller of patents will be allotting the examiner, the suitable examiner, so with the area of expertise. And the third thing you have to describe is about the background of the invention. So what is the problem you are trying to address? So you need to narrate in a brief way. And after that, we need to go for this prior or top state, which is almost equal to the literature survey as we do in our research articles, right? So this is what I have told earlier. This patent search which we gone through early will help us to draft this prior or top state. So as like in the case of research article, here the plagiarism does not matter. So what you can do is that simply copy the abstract and paste here. So you can type the title and you can give the patent number which we saw in the Google patent search, and you can copy the abstract and simply paste it here. So this part can be drafted with the help of the patent search. So there we got some 100 or something results, right? From that you can choose the most relevant 7 to 8 or a maximum of 10 relevant patent documents, and that can be pasted here, so which helps you to draft this prior or top state. So here we have given the most relevant 3 prior or top state, right? And the fifth thing that you have to draft in your patent application is that the object of the invention, which is objective, right? So the flow of this patent specification goes in such a way that it comes like a funnel. So while reading the title of the invention, the examiner will be getting a broader area. Then while reading the field of invention and the background of invention, the idea will be getting further confined. And while reading the prior or top state, that is the existing solution for the defined problem, he or she will be getting further more confined. Now while reading the object of the invention, now somewhat more confinement will be happening. So what your invention is actually trying to address, right? Then you can go for the sixth one is and usually the object of the invention should start in this way only. The primary object of the invention is 2. If you are going for a second objective, the further objective of the further object of the invention is 2, and the another object of the invention is 2. So in this way you have to narrate it, and my recommendation would be that the object can be confined to a maximum of 2 or 3, right? And the sixth part that you have to include in your patent specification is the brief description of the drawing. So whatever, as I told, there are 4 parts in this patent application. So one is your draft, one is your claim, the third is abstract, and fourth is the drawing. So in the drawing, it should be always a separate document. In drawing, there should not be any textual content, and in the specification, there should not be any drawing. So that has to be clearly mentioned here. So whatever the figure I have included, and parallelly I'll run and show you off. So whatever the figure I have included, I have mentioned what are all the figures and what those figures are. So I have given 7 figures here, and those 7 figures are mentioned here. And the seventh one is the detailed description of your invention. So preferably you can type this as an invention. I'm sorry, it is not a proposed model, it is an invention, right? So in this invention, what you have to do is that you need to define about all the components. Now what I'll do is that parallelly I'll show you the drawing of the invention, so that you'll be able to clearly get a point what I'm trying to convey. So I have opened this patent drawings. So this is what the invention is about. So this invention is going to work on this invention is going to prevent the banana tree from toppling. This is a very simple design, and of course we have done an ANSYS analysis also, and we have defined what is the weight it has to be used for this stand. So the stand is called as a tripod stand. So here we have given the numbers, right? And you can see nowhere we have mentioned the part name. We have just given the numbers for each component present in the diagram. So this is the tripod stand, and we have given similarly the various numbers. And here in this detailed description of the invention, we need to call what those numbers are. So here the number 1 is mentioned as tripod stand. So here I have described what this tripod stand is. And what is the thing we have to do here is that we need to mention the component in a structural as well as in a functional way, which means that how this tripod stand, it is added with this entire device, and how it is showing its function. So in that aspect, we have to type. In a similar way, you have to type what are all the components you have used here. So what are all the different parts. So totally we have included 12 number of parts, right? So I have mentioned what are all those 12 parts and how these parts are a part of this invention structurally as well as in the functional aspect, right? And towards the end, I have given as a working of the invention. And one more thing we have to keep in mind that wherever in whichever part of the specification you are mentioning a particular component or a part, then and there you have to mention the number. So here you have seen here, right? This unit is comprising of major parts including the tripod stand in the bracket 1, the height adjusting rod 3, rotating part 4. So wherever you are going to mention the component name or the part name, the corresponding number which you have given in the drawing has to be mentioned in the description. So here we have given the 7 drawings and which is of different views, the front view, rear view, side view, and the top view and bottom view. So whatever the possible views, all the views we have drawn through this CAD drawing and we have given here. So how this invention will be looking. So all those views have been mentioned here along with the part numbers. So this different views may help the examiner to understand how actually your invention will be looking like and how it is going to function. So this is the right side view of the invention and this is the left side view of the invention. In a similar way, you have to define what are all the possible views. If at all there is a same view in different sites, then you can combine and make it as a single view. For example, if your invention is seen, for example, let us assume that this is my invention. If I see this invention, just for an example, if I see this invention from the front as well as from the rear, if it is giving the same appearance then I can make it as a single view, a single drawing. I need not to go for a front view and rear view, right? So in this way, you have to clearly define the working of the invention, where the working of the invention has to be mentioned, as I told earlier. It should have both the functional as well as the structural aspect. And the next thing is the abstract. So here the abstract, the main thing we have to consider is that it should always start with the title of your invention, and the abstract should not exceed 150 words. It should not exceed 150 words. So here also we can see here that every part number is mentioned here, right? And the last important part is the claims. The claim should always start with the title of the invention. The device to prevent the banana tree from toppling. You can use 2 words, either comprises of or consist of. My recommendation would be that you can use the term called comprises. See, I'll just give you a simple example. We all we had election, right? Along with our state, 5 including Tamil Nadu, 5 states had election, right? You would have heard in the news. One news it would have mentioned. I just read it out. Tamil Nadu, Kerala, மேற்கு வங்கம் உட்பட 5 மாநிலங்களில் தேர்தல் தேதிகள் அறிவிக்கப்பட்டது. So this is what the one statement. And the second statement, it includes that Tamil Nadu, Kerala, மேற்கு வங்கம், Assam, Puducherry ஆகிய 5 மாநிலங்கள். So hopefully you got the difference. உட்பட 5 மாநிலங்கள், ஆகிய 5 மாநிலங்கள், right? So this comprises means it is the first case. So here you are trying to say that this invention comprises of this 1, 3, 4, 6, 5, 7, 8, 10, but it is not confined to only these 5 or 6 components. It may have some other components also. So you are opening up it, right? So in that way you can write. If you are writing it as consist of, then you are mentioning that your invention is having only these components. So what you can do is that you can type as comprises of. So you need to define what are all the claims, or what are all the components what are all the function you are trying to claim for your invention, because there are already some other toppling devices also there, toppling preventing devices also there. So some parts of those devices are unique in our invention. So I am claiming only those components alone. So whatever the components you are trying to claim in your invention, that components alone has to be mentioned here. And the first claim is always called as an independent claim, and the other claims are called as a dependent claim. So here once again I am calling this tripod stand. the tripod stand as claimed in claim 1. This has to be mentioned like this only, because it is a dependent claim. We have already called this tripod stand in claim number 1. So you are typing it as claimed in claim 1. You are writing it in a structural way as well as in a functional way. It's a 3-legged stand. So I am defining it in a structural way, wherein the said tripod stand with the pillar rod holds the stability of the entire invention. I am claiming it in a functional way. So this is how we have to draft our claim. So in each and every claim of each and every part of your invention, if it is a physical part, you need to mention the structural aspect as well as the functional aspect. So this is how we need to draft your draft the patent application, right? So as I told earlier, we have gone through. So once again, after filing your application, after undergoing an examination, what is the thing you will be getting is that you will be getting a report called FER. Now we are moving into the last part, the patent prosecution. The first examination report, it is called as FER. So in this FER, after examination, as like in our research publication, the reviewers will be giving comments or clarifications. In a similar way, here also with respect to novelty, inventive step and industrial applicability or the non-obviousness as per or the inventive step, the patent examiner will be issuing a FER report. So what we have to do is that we need to clarify their clarifications. So this is how an FER application will be looking like. So you can clearly understand whether your invention is novel or not. So by here you can see in this application the summary of the report. The novelty, it has 2 options, yes or no. So in this application we have gone for 4 claims. So I'll just show you the claims here. I'm sorry, it is in it is available here. Claims. So meanwhile it is opening, I'll navigate you through this FER. So we have 4 claims, or whether these 4 claims is novel or not. So here you can see it is mentioned straight to yes, which means that this claim is having novelty. Inventive step, so they have mentioned it straight to no, so which means that they mentioned that our invention is not having an inventive step, and in industrial applicability it is mentioned as yes. And apart from that, here they have mentioned whether the invention is falling under non-patentability. So here you can see it is mentioned no, so our invention is not falling under non-patentability under section 3 as well as under section 4. Now at the bottom, if you are navigating, they would have given some prior art of state apart from what you have mentioned in your early specification. So here they have given us 2 references and they are asking us to mention how our invention is differing from these 2 applications. So because as they have mentioned earlier, we have the novelty, we have the inventive step, and it is not confining with the non-patentability. The only objection here is inventive step. And that inventive step objection is with respect to these 2 applications. Now what we have to do is that we need to define our application, I mean our invention. It is not unique with the mentioned application. I mean it is not in line with the application. We are having our own uniqueness in our application, right, in our patent application. So here they have mentioned what is the content. They have simply copied and pasted the abstract. So now what we have to do is that we need to give a response for this. So this is what our yearly submission. This is what our early submission. Now after getting this FER report, what we have to do is that, so here we have seen, we have given 4 claims here. So as I mentioned that. So we need to give a response. Now after the consideration of this, I mean the comments given in the FER, we have amended the specification. Now I'll show the amended specification and the specification which we have already drafted at the beginning. So here you can see this is the first specification and this is our amended specification. See, the title is not changed here, and can you see the field, it has been it is being included with the background. So early we haven't included the background, now we have included the background and the field of invention. So we have included a part called novelty of the invention. Of course it is not required as we discussed earlier, and innovative features, it is also not required, and we need to go for this background, right? So here as per the defined template, here we have included or redrafted our specification, and we have mentioned whatever the patent application that is already available. All these things have been mentioned here, and the object also given here, the brief summary. And I'll show you the summary or the content which we have drafted early. You cannot see this numbers, the part numbers. So you cannot see the part numbers here in this operation or wherever it may be. So, but here in the revised specification, you can see the part number which we have mentioned each and every place. So we have clearly defined, right? So this is what we have given. So this is how we need to respond to the application, and we need to give the difference, right? So for that, what we have to do is that we need to give the correspondence. So here in this correspondence, we have mentioned. So it is as similar like writing a response to a reviewer in a scientific research. So in a similar way, here also we need to give the correspondence to the objections raised in this FPR. So we have mentioned the application number, the dispatch of FPR, and the primary communicator, and to the controller of patents, and the kind attention to the corresponding controller. So here in this FPR, you can see who is actually the controller for our specific application and from which location. So here we have mentioned it is a controller of patents. If at all it is in Mumbai, means you have to type here as Mumbai. And respected sir, we have mentioned whatever the applicant, whoever the applicants are there, and with respect to the objection, we have given the response. So objection regarding the inventive step. So here, as I told earlier, the first objection mentioned here is the serial number 1 is with respect to inventive step. So what they have mentioned is that the invention does not meet the requirement of 21JA of Patent Act because the claim subject matter does not constitute an inventive step in the view of documents, these two documents. So they have mentioned that it is not having an inventive step with respect to these two documents. Now we are defending it. How we are defending it is that I have just copied and pasted the abstract whatever it is given in the FER, and here we are describing how our invention is differing from the mentioned prior out of state in the FER. So the oil spilling rover, on the other hand, does not use any oil spill sensor. So it is mentioned that this invention is using some sensor or whatever it may be. So how our invention is differing, that uniqueness we have to type here. Similarly, for the second document which is mentioned, we have given the clarification. And the second objection given here in our invention is that, number 2 is definitiveness. So yes, here it is. So the definitiveness. So claims 1 to 4 do not sufficiently define the invention for the reason as follows. The reference number should be inserted. So as I told you earlier, wherever the content or the component is coming, you need to mention the numbers. So here we have given the justification. The claims have been amended suitably by including the the numbers. So I'll just show you that. So what we have done with the claim. So earlier I have shown you the claim. Now we have revised the claim in this FER response, and meanwhile it is opening, we'll just move on to the other formal requirements. And the third objection that is raised here is that the formal requirements. So under the form 3 details we haven't filed, and application number and date shall be duly filed in the form number 3, 5 and 18. So early, as I told, we haven't filed the form number 3, 5, right? So here you can see we have filed the form number 1, 2, 9 and 18. So whereas we haven't filed the form number 5 and 9. So it has been asked and we have filed it. So that objection we have brought here. So ultimately, we have to give a conclusion that we trust that this application is now in order for grant, and request learner controller to waive off the objection raised in the FER. So here you can see the claim. So earlier we had 4 claims. In those 4 claims, we haven't mentioned about, see, this is the 4 claims we have claimed early. We haven't mentioned about the numbers, and it seems that the claims are to be open. So now we have revised the claim by including the numbers and confining it. So my recommendation will be that we can confine the number of claims to 4 or 5, a maximum of 4 or 5, because increasing the number of claims will increase the complexity in granting. So I'm not, I mean, in a hard and fast rule, I'm saying that you should not have more than 4 or 5 claims. You can have any number of claims, but increasing the number of claims may increase the complexity of your possibility for getting a grant of patent. So this is how we have to respond to this FER. So in this FER, we need to submit 2 copies of your invention. So one is the marked up copy and other one is the fair copy. So whatever the thing I have shown here, it is the fair copy, and the marked up copy is mentioned for you need to intimate the examiner what are the changes you have made by striking out the things. So here we can see we have included this background of invention. So we have highlighted as in a bold. In a similar way, whatever the things we have removed, we have striped it out. So you have to submit 2 copies. One is the marked up copy and other one is the fair copy. And along with the record correspondence, whatever the objections that have been raised in the FER, you need to go for it. And once, if they are satisfied with your response in the FER, you will be getting the intimation of grant. So here in this application, they got satisfied with our FER response. So they gave the grant of intimation, I mean the patent certificate for this invention after the FER response. If they are not satisfied with the FER response, then they will be calling you for a hearing where you will be having a one-on-one interaction with the controller, and there through the video conference you have to give the defense whatever the objection they have given in the I mean the hearing notice. And after the positively completing the hearing notice, you have to submit your response in a written format within 15 days. Whereas the response for a FER is 6 months, whereas the response time for the hearing is just 15 days. So within 15 days, what you have to do is that you need to give the written response, so that finally you will be getting the result either as a grant or a rejection. So what out of my experience I'm telling is that we have already attended a lot of hearings, and mostly the patent office or the controller who is going to attend your hearing, they always have the mindset to give a grant. So what we usually do in our hearing is that now I have shown you the correspondence document and the other documents which we have submitted after the FER response, right? In a similar way, we will be priorly preparing all those documents for FER hearing. So in that conference meeting itself, we will be presenting our response documents, our correspondence, and all the relevant documents that has to be submitted in as a written format, and we'll be getting a concurrence from the controller of the patents. So they are always having a mindset to give the maximum possibility of grant for your application. So in that aspect, if you are facing any hearing, my recommendation would be that you try to prepare all the correspondence and the required documents in prior, and you present your document to the corresponding controller in the hearing, and he'll be giving the suggestion, or he or she will be giving the suggestion. So ultimately, getting a grant of patent is not that much tedious, provided if you are giving the complete information about your invention in your first filing itself. That is whatever we have seen in the draft. In your first very filing, you have to give the complete information about your invention. If you fail to give some information, and if you are trying to claim that and the claim means, I mean in your claim part means, then the grant possibility will be keep on declining. So this is the overview of this session, and I hopefully you would have got some idea about how to search for already existing patent, and how we have to draft, and how we have to fill the forms, and what is the process of prosecution, and how we have to respond to this prosecution.